So I was saying that, this can be one day of instruction. Then the next day, revealing the artwork and writing it up can be another day, especially considering that you're still doing these things at the beginning of class. And then these reading options can end up taking like a whole nother day if you want to. Now, you do want it to stay interesting to the students, and you don't want to be like beating a dead horse. So if they don't like the one-word image, I wouldn't do this at all. I would just skip these reading options and go back and do a whole nother one-word image. And then when you find some that they like, I would keep on kind of milking them and using them for more days of instruction. So some reading options that you can do is these kind of go together and these kind of go together, okay? And I got these from Ben. There's 21 of them in that blue book, A Natural Approach to Stories. But these are the top 4. These are like the best ones that I generally do every time I do a writing. I usually do most of these. So these two kind of go together. So you would like go through the reading and you would point to the words, and just the class would say them together in English. So you would say, the spork is rainbow colored. His name is Frarky the Spork. True story. I don't know why. And then one of my word chunk teams was named Los Primos de Frarky.
Aww.
So cute. And then as you're going through that, it's a good chance for you to kind of circle something in the reading and say, hey, look, right here it says del spork. Or del whatever, right? And so you're like, del means of the. Did you notice how del, we said of the, and it's only one word in Spanish, but it's 2 words in English, of the. So just those really short little grammar pop-ups like this means this in English. Then, this is amazing, to be able to do this reading from the back of the room in the 2nd or 3rd week of school is extremely impressive, not only to the kids, but also to any administrators that might be watching you. So what you do is you keep the reading projected in the front, but you walk to the back of the room, and in the back of the room you kind of lead this class discussion. So you tell the kids, watch me, but you can turn around and look at the reading if you want to, and then you just ask them questions. So you'd be like, okay, clase, el spork es de un color o de todos los colores. And they'll be like, es de todos los colores. You'd be like, oh, clase, qué inteligente. Y clase, el spork se llama Frarky o Splarky. Oh, se llama Frarky. Splarky. Qué tonto. Okay. Qué tontería. I said that to somebody one time and they were like, that's really rude. I was like,
¿Qué tonto? ¿Qué tontería?
Qué tontería.
Ah.
Like, I learned it from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. How can it be that rude? And then you can also do reader's theater. Like, you can pull somebody up to like portray the spork, and you can be like, okay, Frarky, hola. Hola. Te llamas Frarky? And you can like tell them what to say back to you, like, sí, claro. So you can kind of like interview a kid. Like, at this point, there's not a lot of like theatrics going on, but it's good at the beginning of the year to get them up so the class gets used to the fact like, oh, there's going to be like a lot of different sort of roles to fill in this class. Like, even though it's just like a couple sentences and it's just like sort of a little interview, I think it's a good way to get them acclimated to the fact that your class is going to be like a multimedia extravaganza of learning. Okay, so I think generally for me that these activities will take me through weeks 2 and like all the way through week 3. By this time, my goal is to make a bank of about 4 to 6 one-word images. So I'm going to keep on doing sort of this cycle, maybe not reading options if they don't like the image that much, but if they do like the images, you know, if they do like a particular image, I'm gonna take it through this whole cycle. And so after about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks, my goal is to have a bank of 4 to 6 images so that I can pick the best one to tell our first story. I don't want to pick a crappy image that nobody likes to tell our first story with, because I want the first story to be like going off with a bang. So once I have about 4 to 6 images, I just pick the one that I think the class seems to have resonated with the best. I'm kind of a control freak. you might let your class vote or whatever, but I'm not nice like that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, in about week 4 and 5, I move into like this next sort of phase where I'm telling stories with the one-word images. And this is setting them up to tell stories with their own characters that they draw. But we're starting with the one-word images because you're kind of modeling for them what you're gonna do later. Plus, it builds community because you're using a character that everybody made, and we're all kind of, we all were there for its birth. And we all generally, you'd be surprised, they actually buy into these characters. They love them. Even adults. I swear, Elena, in Vermont we made this bread bowl named Cheesy, and I just got a message from the woman who portrayed Cheesy today on Facebook, and she was like, well, okay. The one-word image was a bread bowl named Cheesy. This is how this message came to me. Lisa, who was in the class, was eating a bread bowl a week later when she went back home, posted the bread bowl that she was eating, a picture of her actual real life bread bowl, and said, it's cheesy. And then like 5 people from the class were like, oh, it's cheesy. And then this woman who had portrayed Cheesy, Allison, just posted today, like, it meant so much to me to portray Cheesy because I made so many friends in the class just from like being cheesy as the actor. So adults are even like finding community getting built with these silly images. And then Elena, you taught summer school, and did you find that the kids, high school kids,
they loved
really
it.
bought into
their
creations?
Yeah, absolutely.
How so?
I noticed, especially, the artists tended to be like more marginalized, at least initially, and antisocial, and they got so much status. And
artists kind of tend to be. I mean, I was an artsy kid, and I was not exactly the most popular bulb on the Christmas tree.
They that was a big deal, and then I was really intentional with whose suggestions I took also. So I tended to always accept the suggestions from the quieter kids, and especially my boys of color, and to reject some of the more extroverted, privileged kids' suggestions
you didn't have a
sometimes. I did have one Profados. I did. But especially initially when we would come up with things, I'd be like, no, sorry, thank you.
So you were using this process as like a way to build community and invite in kids who might have been marginalized?
Yeah, and
you were intentionally like bringing in their voices and their ideas?
And redistribute status.
Wow, I like that. Say that again.
Redistribute status.
I like that phrase.
Thank you.
It's a really good phrase.
Yeah.
Registered trademark, Elena Overvold, 2017.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we do our first stories, generally the kids, if you pick an image that they're really in love with, and believe me, they will be in love with some of the images, then you're going to have a bang-up story, and people are going to really enjoy it. So, after you do that story, there are, of course, some different activities that you can do. So, this is like a little Tina Ben discovery over the summer. So when we reveal the artwork for the one-word image, we call it the great reveal because it's a lot, or for the story, we call it the great reveal because it's so much more interesting. And then I think Ben came up with this. It's cute. And then we reveal the one-word image. It's just the reveal because it's not that great. It's just an image. So when we do that story, and there's a million, like I said, maybe even a Brazilian, I don't know, videos of stories with one-word images on my Liftoff website, and I hope other people will post their stories too. But if you want to see like kind of how they're done, I would recommend you go there. But after that, after the story's done, you have this great reveal of the artwork, and it's generally 2 panels. So it's like the problem up here and the solution down here. And then as you're revealing this, and also back in here, there's so many opportunities for you to talk about, review the language that was used to make the story. Usually there's like extra little details that you can kind of bring in. The artist usually add a little background and stuff, so you can say, oh, look, a tree. Oh, look, 2 trees. Or look, they're on the beach. So there's, it's sort of this incidental vocabulary that they can acquire, some of them. You can do the write and discuss of the story. You can do the reading options, and in that blue book, A Natural Approach to Stories, Ben has come up with, he's so creative, he just is so inventive. He has come up with 21 total reading options, or borrowed and accumulated them from other sources. So this might be a good time to start sprinkling in some of these other reading options, just to keep things interesting for the kids. Yeah. Some other things that I would recommend starting at this point in the year would be the dikti. A dictée is basically like, I would call it like a metacognitive sound to print matching activity. Because what you're doing is the kids have paper and they're writing in the language and you're reading to them in the language. So for instance, you would say, okay, I'm going to tell you the sentence in French. The girls like to read. Okay? So I'd say, okay, classe, écoutez, n'écrivez pas. Les filles, this is a sentence that everybody would know, right? It's like been in the story. It's like very easy for them to comprehend by this point. That's why I wouldn't do dictée before this point in the year. You want them to understand. Like, if they don't understand it, then it means nothing than what they're writing.
Right.
Okay, classe. Les filles, so this was part of the story. Les filles aiment lire. Point. Period. They know that because every time I write and discuss, I always say point, or point d'exclamation, or point d'interrogation, or whatever. Or deux points, which is colon, I think.
I don't even know how to say it.
Colon? I think in French it's
Is it
deux
really
points.
colon?
That's what somebody told me.
Oh.
In French it's deux points, like 2 periods.
Oh.
Okay, so I would say this. Classe, écoutez et n'écrivez pas. Les filles aiment lire. Point. Okay, écrivez. Les filles, and I'm making a master copy on the overhead, but they're not able to see it. So I guess I'll just, oh, how can I pretend? I'll just put it on the back of this. Okay, so I would be doing this on the overhead, but the kids can't see it because the overhead's turned off, okay? I'll just redo this whole thing. Okay, remember, the kids cannot see this. They're just hearing me. They have paper in front of them. Okay, écoutez, n'écrivez pas. Les filles aiment lire. Point. Ok, écoutez et écrivez en français. Les filles, class is writing and I'm writing too. But they can't see this. Aiment lire. Point. Les filles aiment lire. Point. Ok, numéro 2. Écoutez, n'écrivez pas. And then I do another one, okay? And so then when we've done 2 or 3 or 4, however many you want to do, 4 or 5 is usually enough. Then I reveal this to the students on the overhead. So I just have been writing on the overhead. And did you notice, Elena, that I would write like les filles, and then I kind of count in my head, and I just wait because I write quicker than the kids do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then M, write it, count 3 or 4, lire, count, just to give them time. I don't want them to feel rushed or overwhelmed. And then you always repeat it kind of at the end so they hear it like in a sentence again, and they can kind of just verify what they wrote.
Okay.
So then I have them look at this, and then on their paper, what they do is they copy from here. Even if it's 100% correct, I still have them copy.
Oh,
And then I have them in their original, what they wrote without seeing it, I have them circle the differences. And then we can actually, if we want to, we can have like sort of a chat, you know, like a metacognitive type of chat. Like, okay, what'd you guys circle? What'd you notice? I mean, okay, imagine, Elena, imagine that you were a beginning French student and you heard les filles aiment lire. You would probably write les filles aiment lire.
Yeah.
I mean, something like that. Like,
Yeah.
French is notoriously difficult to spell.
Yeah.
So then you're going to be like, okay, I notice here that has an S and you don't even hear it. And this has a bunch of extra words that you don't even hear it. So that would give us a chance to kind of talk about, like, yeah, in French there's a lot of silent letters. Oftentimes the S at the end, you don't hear it at all. And M, there's like 3 extra letters in there. And I could say, oh, those letters make it mean they, but you don't even hear them. They're only important when you write. So there's a lot of, you know, metacognitive value in the dictée.